The quantum resonance chamber hummed with an energy that made the hair on Dr. Elena Vasquez's arms stand on end. Deep within Research Station Prometheus, humanity's most advanced quantum physics laboratory drifted silently through the void at the edge of the Kepler system. The station's sleek hull, barely 300 meters long, looked insignificant against the cosmic backdrop, exactly as humanity intended. Elena adjusted the final calibration on the quantum entanglement array, her fingers dancing across holographic controls that would have been incomprehensible to most of the galaxy's so-called advanced civilizations. The irony wasn't lost on her. While alien species had spent millennia perfecting faster-than-light travel and energy weapons, humanity had taken a different path, one that would soon prove far more dangerous than anyone imagined. "Dr. Vasquez," called Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen from the observation deck, his voice tight with concern. "Long-range sensors are detecting multiple contacts approaching our position. Configuration suggests a hegemony battle fleet." Elena's blood ran cold. The hegemony, a coalition of 12 alien species that considered themselves the galaxy's rightful rulers, had been monitoring human expansion for decades. Their ships were technological marvels, capable of crossing star systems in hours and wielding weapons that could crack planets. By every measure of conventional military might, humanity was hopelessly outmatched. "How many ships?" Elena asked, though she dreaded the answer. 47 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts, Chen replied. "Will be in weapons range within 6 hours. Elena nodded grimly and activated the station's emergency protocols. Red lights bathed the corridors as the skeleton crew of 37 scientists and military personnel prepared for what everyone assumed would be their final stand. But Elena knew something the approaching hegemony fleet didn't. Something that would turn their technological superiority into their greatest weakness. The hegemony fleet emerged from hyperspace with the precision of a well-orchestrated symphony. Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion, watching the human research station appear on his tactical displays. His crystalline form shimmered with satisfaction as he surveyed the pathetic sight before him. "A single station," he announced to his bridge crew, his voice carrying the harmonic resonance typical of his species. 47 ships against one primitive research facility. The humans' arrogance in establishing unauthorized research operations in our territory ends today. Captain Vex Thule, his tactical officer, gestured toward the sensor readings with one of his 4 arms. "Admiral, the station appears to be conducting some form of quantum research. Our intelligence suggests the humans have been experimenting with quantum entanglement for communication purposes." Kethvar's crystalline features flickered with amusement. "Quantum entanglement for communication? How quaint. While they play with particle physics, we have mastered the manipulation of space-time itself. Their primitive understanding of quantum mechanics is centuries behind our own." If you're fascinated by stories of human ingenuity triumphing over overwhelming odds, hit that subscribe button and give us a like. We're just getting started with this tale of quantum warfare. The hegemony fleet arranged itself in a perfect sphere around Research Station Prometheus, their ships' hulls gleaming with energy shields that could deflect anything in humanity's conventional arsenal. Each vessel was a masterpiece of alien engineering. The Zephyrian ships with their flowing organic curves that seemed to bend light around them. The Gorlak dreadnoughts, massive and angular, bristling with weapons that could vaporize asteroids. The Vorthan cruisers, their crystalline structures refracting starlight into deadly focused beams. "Attention! Human research facility!" Admiral Kefvar's voice boomed across all frequencies. "You are in violation of galactic territorial accords. You have 1 hour to evacuate your station and surrender all research materials. Failure to comply will result in the complete destruction of your facility." On Prometheus Station, Elena watched the alien fleet through the observation deck's reinforced windows. Each ship was larger than her entire station, and their combined firepower could reduce her life's work to cosmic dust in seconds. But as she gazed at the seemingly impossible odds, a smile played at the corners of her mouth. "Commander Chen," she said quietly, "please transmit our response to the Hegemony fleet." Chen nodded and opened the communication channel. Elena's voice, calm and steady, carried across space to the waiting alien armada. "Admiral Kefvar, this is Dr. Elena Vasquez, Director of Quantum Research at Prometheus Station. We appreciate your concern for galactic territorial integrity. However, I'm afraid we must decline your generous offer to evacuate. You see, we're in the middle of a rather important experiment, and we'd hate to leave before seeing the results." The bridge of the Dominion fell silent. Admiral Kefvar's crystalline form darkened with anger. "Dr. Vasquez, you seem to misunderstand your situation. You are outnumbered 47-1. Your primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields, and your single station cannot possibly pose a threat to the Hegemony battle fleet." Elena's laughter echoed across the comm channel, a sound that sent an inexplicable chill through the alien crews. "Admiral, you're absolutely right about our conventional weapons. They are indeed primitive compared to your technology. But here's the thing about quantum mechanics. It's not about the size of your guns or the thickness of your armor. It's about understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself." "Enough of this nonsense," Kefvar snarled. "All ships, prepare to fire. We'll vaporize this station and be done with these delusional humans." "I wouldn't do that if I were you," Elena said, her voice carrying a note of warning that made even the most battle-hardened alien officers pause. "You see, your ships all use quantum-coherent navigation systems, don't they? Quantum-entangled particles that maintain perfect synchronization across vast distances, allowing for precise hyperspace jumps and real-time fleet coordination." Admiral Kefvar's form flickered with uncertainty. The human was correct. Every ship in his fleet relied on quantum-coherent systems for navigation, communication, and tactical coordination. It was standard technology throughout the galaxy, perfected over millennia of spacefaring civilization. "Your point, human?" he demanded. "My point," Elena replied, "is that you've just surrounded the most advanced quantum research facility in human space with 47 ships whose critical systems all operate on quantum-entangled particles. And we've spent the last 5 years developing something we call the Quantum Trap Protocol." The words hung in space like a death sentence. On the bridge of the Dominion, Captain Vextel's 4 arms trembled as he processed the implications. "Admiral," he whispered, "if they can disrupt quantum coherence on a large scale—" "Impossible!" Kefvar snapped. "Quantum entanglement cannot be disrupted without destroying the particles themselves. It's a fundamental law of physics." Elena's voice carried across the void, filled with the quiet confidence of someone who had spent years preparing for this exact moment. "Admiral, you're thinking like every other species in the galaxy, trying to brute force your way through quantum mechanics. But humans, we've learned to think differently. We don't try to break quantum entanglement. We simply convince the universe that it was never entangled in the first place." What Elena couldn't explain without revealing humanity's greatest secret, was how the quantum trap protocol actually worked. It wasn't about disrupting quantum entanglement through conventional means. Instead, human scientists had discovered something that defied every established principle of galactic physics: the ability to retroactively alter quantum states through what they called temporal quantum revision. The process was elegant in its simplicity and terrifying in its implications. By creating a localized field of quantum uncertainty, the protocol could convince reality itself that certain quantum entangled particles had never been properly entangled in the first place. The effect propagated backward through time, at the quantum level, causing critical systems to fail not because they were attacked, but because they had never worked correctly to begin with. "You're bluffing," Admiral Kethvar declared, though his voice carried less certainty than before. "Even if such technology existed, you would never risk using it. The quantum feedback would destroy your own station." "Would it?" Elena asked. "Admiral, what do you think we've been researching out here for the past 5 years? We didn't build this station to study quantum mechanics. We built it to weaponize them. Every system on Prometheus Station is designed to operate in a state of quantum flux. We don't rely on quantum coherence because we've learned to embrace quantum chaos." The truth was even more remarkable than Elena's explanation suggested. Prometheus Station wasn't just resistant to quantum disruption, it was powered by it. Human engineers had developed what they called chaos coherent systems that actually grew stronger in the presence of quantum uncertainty. While alien technology relied on perfect quantum order, human technology thrived on quantum disorder. What's your favorite sci-fi movie or game that features advanced technology being turned against itself? Drop it in the comments. We love hearing about what inspires your imagination. "Initiating quantum trap protocol," Elena announced, her fingers moving across the control interface with practiced precision. "All hegemony vessels, you have approximately 30 seconds before your navigation systems begin experiencing what we like to call existential uncertainty." The quantum resonance chamber at the heart of Prometheus Station began to emit a frequency that existed in 17 different dimensions simultaneously. The sound, if it could be called a sound, was like reality itself holding its breath. Across the hegemony fleet, sensitive instruments began registering readings that their designers had never imagined possible. "Admiral," Captain Vexthal reported, his voice rising with panic. "Quantum coherence levels are fluctuating across all systems. Navigation, communication, weapons targeting, everything is becoming unstable." Admiral Kethvar watched in growing horror as his perfect formation began to dissolve. Ships that had maintained precise positions for hours suddenly found themselves drifting, their navigation computers unable to determine their exact location. The quantum entangled particles that formed the backbone of their technology were still entangled, but they were entangled with the wrong partners, creating a cascade of systemic failures. "Impossible," he whispered, watching his tactical display dissolve into chaos. "This violates every known law of physics." "No, Admiral." Elena's voice came through the increasingly unstable communication system. "This violates every law of physics that you know. Humans have discovered that the universe is far more flexible than most species realize. We just have to ask it nicely to bend the rules." The first ship to lose complete navigational control was a Gorlak destroyer. Its massive bulk, no longer able to maintain position, began drifting toward one of the Zephyrian cruisers. Both ships fired their maneuvering thrusters, but without quantum coherent navigation, they couldn't calculate the correct vectors. The near collision sent both vessels spinning away from the formation. All ships, emergency protocols, Admiral Kefvar commanded. Switch to backup navigation systems. Sir, came the reply from multiple ships simultaneously. Backup systems are also affected. The quantum disruption is propagating through all entangled particles in the fleet. Elena watched the chaos unfold with a mixture of satisfaction and genuine sympathy. She took no pleasure in the fear she could hear in the alien voices, but she felt a deep pride in what humanity had accomplished. While other species had focused on building bigger guns and stronger shields, humans had learned to rewrite the rules of engagement entirely. Admiral Kefvar, she said, her voice cutting through the comm static. I'm going to offer you the same choice you offered us. You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleet from this system. Unlike your ultimatum, however, ours comes with a demonstration of what happens if you refuse. You cannot maintain this effect indefinitely, Kefvar protested, though his crystalline form was now flickering with uncertainty. The energy requirements alone are completely sustainable, Elena interrupted. Admiral, you're still thinking in terms of conventional physics. The quantum trap protocol doesn't consume energy, it redirects it. Every quantum fluctuation in your ship's systems actually feeds power back into our array. The more unstable your fleet becomes, the stronger our field grows. This was the true genius of the human approach. While alien civilizations had spent millennia trying to impose order on the quantum realm, humans had learned to harness its inherent chaos. The quantum trap protocol didn't fight against quantum uncertainty, it embraced it, turning the fundamental randomness of reality into a weapon. Captain Vexthal's voice crackled over the comm. Admiral, 3 more ships have lost navigational control. The Retribution is on a collision course with the Vengeance, and neither can correct their trajectory. Admiral Kefvar stared at the tactical display, watching his once perfect formation dissolve into a chaotic dance of drifting warships. Each vessel was still individually powerful, but without the ability to coordinate their movements or target their weapons accurately, they were little more than floating scrap metal. How? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. How did a species that achieved spaceflight less than 2 centuries ago develop technology that surpasses our own? Elena's answer carried across space with the weight of absolute truth. Because we had to, Admiral. Every other species in the galaxy had a head start of thousands of years. We couldn't compete with your technology, so we had to transcend it. While you perfected the tools you already had, we invented entirely new ways of thinking about the universe. The hegemony fleet continued its slow-motion disintegration. Ships that had maintained perfect formation for hours now drifted helplessly, their crews struggling with navigation systems that insisted they were simultaneously in 17 different locations. Weapons that had been precisely calibrated now fired at random vectors, their targeting computers unable to distinguish between reality and quantum possibility. Dr. Vasquez, Admiral Kefvar said finally, his voice heavy with defeat. What are your terms? Elena smiled, though the alien commander couldn't see it. Simple, Admiral. Withdraw your fleet from this system and never return. In exchange, we'll gradually reduce the quantum field, allowing your ships to regain navigational control as you retreat. And if we refuse, then you'll spend eternity drifting through space, unable to navigate, unable to coordinate, unable to do anything but contemplate the fact that you were defeated not by superior firepower, but by superior understanding. The silence that followed was broken only by the increasingly frantic reports from hegemony ships as their systems continued to fail. Finally, Admiral Kefvar's voice returned. stripped of its earlier arrogance. All ships, prepare for withdrawal. We are departing the system. Elena nodded to Commander Chen, who began the careful process of reducing the quantum field. As the hegemony ships slowly regained navigational control, they limped away from Prometheus Station like wounded animals, their perfect formation replaced by a ragged retreat. "Admiral," Elena called out as the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, "please give my regards to the Galactic Council. Tell them that humanity appreciates their concern for our research, but we're quite capable of defending ourselves." As the last hegemony ship vanished into hyperspace, Elena turned to her crew. The 37 scientists and military personnel who had faced down impossible odds looked at her with a mixture of awe and exhaustion. "Ma'am," Commander Chen asked, "what happens now?" "They'll be back, and next time, they'll be prepared for the quantum trap protocol." Elena smiled and gestured toward the quantum resonance chamber, where new readings were already appearing on the displays. "Then we'll be ready with something even better. Commander, what you witnessed today wasn't the culmination of our research. It was just the field test." She paused, looking out at the stars where the hegemony fleet had vanished. The galaxy thinks it knows what humans are capable of. They see us as young, primitive, limited by our brief history and simple technology. But they're making the same mistake every dominant species makes. They're assuming that the future will look like the past. Elena turned back to her team, her eyes bright with the fire of discovery. "Gentlemen, ladies, we've just proven that human ingenuity can overcome any technological disadvantage. But more than that, we've shown that sometimes the best way to win a fight isn't to build a bigger gun. It's to convince the universe that your enemy's gun was never loaded in the first place." The research station continued its silent orbit, its hull unmarked by battle, its crew intact and victorious. In the days that followed, word of the encounter would spread throughout the galaxy, carried by hegemony survivors who could barely comprehend what they had witnessed. Some species would dismiss the reports as impossible. Others would begin to view humanity with new respect and new fear. But all would remember the lesson of Prometheus Station. That in a universe where bigger and stronger had always meant better, humanity had proven that smarter and more creative could triumph over any odds. Before we wrap up this incredible tale of human innovation, tell us in the comments, what city are you watching from? And what's your favourite example of underdogs using intelligence to overcome superior force? We love connecting with viewers from around the world. Dr. Elena Vasquez returned to her research, knowing that the quantum trap protocol was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first step toward claiming its place among the stars, not through conquest or intimidation, but through the one thing that had always defined their species: the refusal to accept that something was impossible simply because it had never been done before. The galaxy would never be the same. If this story of human ingenuity and quantum warfare inspired you, please subscribe to Apex Fleet HFY for more tales of humanity's rise among the stars. Hit that like button to support our channel. And remember, in a universe full of ancient civilizations and impossible odds, sometimes the youngest species has the most to teach about the true nature of power.